Okay. So let me give you a little bit of a context of, the room,
Yeah.
so to speak. We have about a third of the people in the room who are on some kind of an entrepreneurial journey.
Okay.
We have a third of the room of folks who are working in their various professional capacity as leaders in various companies. Um, some who've come from family businesses, some who are first-time entrepreneurs. There's a third of the room who want to be entrepreneurs,
Okay.
right? Okay. So it's pretty evenly split
Balanced.
crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so let's kind of step back to, I guess, when you were 21 years old.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
And you were set off with a camera in your hand,
Yeah.
right? Um, so I guess the first thing I want to ask you is, a lot of us have dreams and ideas,
Yeah.
right? And even before we get into an entrepreneurial journey, what was it that you were so passionate about uh, when you were 21, saying, this is where I want to spend some amount of my time. I don't know whether did you already feel that, no, I'm not going to do a job and this is what I'm going to be passionate about, or was it like, look, this is something I'm interested in? How did it start?
I think that's the one thing that I knew, that I wanted to do something of my own. However, I didn't know what that something was. And I think the biggest thing that allowed me to take this step is actually that I was incredibly naive. And I believed that this could be something much larger than what I had imagined.
What
And
was that this at that time?
just
Was it
telling
just taking
stories,
photographs
just
or
telling
just telling
stories, right?
stories?
Like speaking to people that you see on the street or sitting on the promenade and wondering what they're thinking or wondering what their life has been about. Um, and then actually going out and speaking to them and realizing that it's something entirely different. And I think that that feeling was something I really loved and I really enjoyed, and I wanted to do more of. So therefore, I did more of it, and yeah, that's pretty
Did
much
you
it.
have a hesitation in going up to strangers?
Yeah, it was.
Tell me
And
that.
in a city like Bombay, where everybody's so busy, everybody's um, constantly having somewhere to be, and to be like, hey, can you talk to me for a few minutes? So many people were just like, this is a crazy college student, like a college girl who's just, don't have time for it, right? And
Would you speak to them in Hindi or Marathi?
it
Or
depended, right? Like it depends on who I was trying to speak with. But yeah, Hindi, Marathi, I would fumble in Gujarati because I'm Gujarati, English, and that's basically how it began. It was just organically going up to people on the streets, people you did not know, and say, uh, "Can I speak to you for 2 minutes?" or "Can I get some of your
do you
time?"
remember the first person you spoke to?
Yeah, I've spoken
Tell
about this a
me, tell me that.
bunch of times. It was this woman who had recently lost her husband, and uh, she was just sitting, and she was looking at at almost like nothing, and I was like, why don't we chat? And she just told me that, I've lost my husband, and I have children, and I have no idea about finances, and I don't know how to even begin that process. But I'm going to learn, and I'm going to have to uh, get out of this in a way that I can support this situation, because I have to understand it. And we ended up speaking to like from 45 minutes to an hour, and she said, I feel like a burden has been lifted off my chest.
And at this moment, were you filming her, photographing
I
her,
was
recording her, or you were just
I was
you were
it was
just conversing?
it was a conversation and then
Right.
just photographs. So that's
Right.
what Humans of
And she
Bombay
was
was.
comfortable with your taking a photograph?
Yeah, after this, right? Like
Right.
after she
After
said
the
this, yeah, I was
conversation.
like, can we take a photograph? And she was happy, and
She didn't ask you why you're taking a
no, I
random
I
photograph?
told her, I was like, it's a college project, because in my head it was still a college project, And I was like, yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm figuring out how to interview people, how to tell their stories, and I'll see where it goes. I really had no idea. I've said this a bunch of times, but the first logo of Humans of Bombay I made on Microsoft Word. I didn't even have like designing tools or anything because I literally thought, who's going to read it except me or a few of my friends or maybe my family? But I was wrong. And that taught me a really important lesson for those of you who want to become entrepreneurs is that beginning sometimes is where you face the maximum inertia, which is let me think through every process, let me think through every minute detail of what can work out or what can't work out. Sometimes taking the first step helps you take the next 10 because you can improvise on step 2 and then 3 and then 4 and then 10. So I think that's my biggest lesson, and that's what I keep telling everybody. I have very young girls, 21, sometimes 19, writing to me saying, I want to be like you, I want to start my own business, I want to be an entrepreneur, what should I do? And I said, begin. Begin where you are, begin with the resources you have. Begin with the agency that you have. Today, social media is such a powerful tool, and it wasn't what it is today back when I started. It just wasn't the same. Today, you're able to create that space for yourself, and you don't require somebody else to do it for you. And yeah, I don't even remember what the question was. I just said a
That's
bunch
all
of
right.
things.
That's
Yeah.
okay. When when you started out, did you feel that there was something you wanted to get to and that would be success for you, or was it more like one story after another?
It's always
Do you
been
want some
one
sugar?
story. No, I'm good. I'll,
Yeah,
I'll
okay. All
thank
right.
you. I think it's always just been like, let's do something more interesting, right? And we're a bootstrap company. So in terms of in the larger context of things, we're extremely small company that has never taken on investment, runs itself, runs operations, I figure out the digital media space. I think it was more about where can I push the envelope? How can I make an impact? How can I do better? So, at a time where podcasts weren't what podcasts are today, everybody starts a podcast today. But 3 years ago, we decided that let's have long form be relevant again. Because, with 30-second reels or 45-second reels, you kind of capture a small sliver, not even, of the person's actual narrative. So we're like, let's go the other way. So some of our podcasts run 2 hours plus because we just believe like let's actually understand, right, what makes this person and how have they come to this point. So I think reinvention has been top of the line for me in terms of what I envision doing with my life.
Do you remember the first team member who you asked to join? How far down the line was that?
So straight away, I had freelance photographers. I know how to use a camera, but pretty badly. So it's not my area of expertise, nor is it something that I want to hone that skill. I don't feel that passionately about it. So we had a team of like freelance photographers, but full-time team members almost 4 years after launch.
So, the first time you went to a freelance photographer,
Yeah.
right? Or for that matter, the first time you had a conversation with someone who you were asking to come onto your team,
Yeah.
right? Here you are. Tell me, like, how would you pitch that? Would you because here you are saying, "I like telling stories." So, and they'll probably look back at you saying, "So, why should I work for you?" So,
Yeah. So I think I consider myself extremely lucky and fortunate that a few weeks after, not even weeks, I would say the week I started Humans of Bombay, the Facebook page, it had virality. Everybody was talking about it. Everybody wanted to be a part of it. Everybody's like, oh my God, they're going to ask me for my story. So therefore, when I went to people, the inertia was far lesser in terms of what is this? Because by then it was already there. I was not speaking to them from a, hey, this is my idea, come on board. It was like, this is the page and do you want to be on board?
and what do you think appealed to them? Like, because the reason I'm saying this is that a lot of the times, one of the first big tests is when you want to convince somebody else to come and join your dream.
Yeah.
Right? It could also have been that somebody said, "Oh yeah, this is a charisma mehta thing."
Yeah.
So all human beings, they tend to ask, "What's in it for me?"
Yeah.
So what was in it for them, which made them feel like, this is something I want to be associated with?
It's a good question. I haven't really thought about it. I guess I can be persuasive. I would also, I think that that's something that I don't know, I can do it. So and I know that when I'm sure about something, I'm very sure about it. I'm very passionate about it. Therefore, that passion is able to translate uh, just by osmosis. Like I don't think that I really needed that convincing. So if I had to point out one thing, I wouldn't know. But I just know that overall, I was very passionate. I continue to be very passionate about what we're doing.
Tell me something. You know, everybody had heard of Humans of Bombay well before bloggers and vloggers and podcasts became the thing of the day, right? And when most people kind of think about starting a business, they're also thinking, can it be copied? Can it not be copied? And
Yeah.
so on and so forth, right? Um, how did you react to, how do you react to today with like everybody and their mother and father becoming a vlogger
Yeah.
and citizen journalist and like, being an influencer, um, and kind of how do you keep Humans of Bombay distinct, different, above all of that?
Look, it's a challenge, and I'll tell you why. Because I'm sure everybody in this room relates that Instagram is extremely cluttered by way of trends, by way of, um, like you said, right? Almost everybody can create what you're creating. There is nothing as unique about it. What sets us apart is the brand that we built for 11 years and the fact that we've been able to reinvent into different media, so to speak. Having said that, I do believe that over the next few years, we will look to another channel or another outlet in terms of how we engage with digital.
Tell us more.
I just think that there is a little bit of a ceiling that every platform, every digital media outlet reaches. Like we all saw it with Facebook, right? Like I don't know how many of you use Facebook today. Is there anybody who uses Facebook? But how many of you use Instagram today? Almost everybody. There's a reason because you see that the little bit of a limit, and now you find more and more people are getting into podcasts because that's the medium of consumption that people are looking towards, and that's where you see more people coming to YouTube. But having said that, now when you speak more to people, you realize that even people are feeling that level of resistance with YouTube and podcasts because now that's where everybody has migrated. So I think it's in cycles, and because back in the day when Facebook was king, those cycles weren't coming as often. So it happened then with Instagram. Now it'll happen. So I see the next few years we'll see a real shift in the consumption of content and how people choose to communicate and connect with each other. That's how I see it.
People often ask that question, right? What would be your advice to your 21-year-old, right? But I don't want to ask you that question. I want to ask you a different question.
Okay.
If you were 21 today, to the Karishma of 21 today, how would you do this whole thing differently?
I don't think the 21-year-old Karishma today would be able to do this because
Tell
it's
me more.
because it's cluttered. It is what it is. Anybody who wants to start something that's entirely dependent on digital distribution should know that it's extremely cluttered. Can you find your voice 100%? Can you find your niche crowd, niche audience? Yes, but the barriers to entry are far higher just because of the volume of people who are operating on Instagram, YouTube. So if I was 21 today and thinking about doing this, the advice I would give her is don't.
We talked a lot about finding a gap,
Yeah.
right? And which I think the 21-year-old Karishma found a gap,
Yeah.
because there was nothing that existed like this, right? Especially not in India, right? And I said exactly what you were saying in slightly different ways, that um, it's not enough to have a idea. Somebody, you have to see a gap somewhere to say this is what. So today in this sort of content creation space, right? When you look around and have given all your experience that you've had, is there a gap that you see somewhere, like something someone is not addressing, something that your viewers and your customers and your subscribers are looking for, but something that people are missing?
No, I'm being very honest. I think that I'm trying to think of a credible answer, but the truth is I don't see it because I was going to say value-based content, but that also exists. I do follow those accounts. I do follow those podcasts. I'd like to believe that we run a podcast that adds value to people's lives as well. Um, no.
Have you ever thought of monetizing this, in the sense that people actually pay for content? I know that's the big debate, right? Whether people around the world, and especially in India, whether they're going to pay for content or whether they're going to consume content for free. How do you keep this thing going? How does it make money? Not because you want to be rich, but how do you keep it financially sustainable?
Look, if you're online and you're looking to do things online, you're heavily dependent upon brands and advertising spends. That's just what it is. If you're looking to get consumers to pay you per view, that's possible, say on YouTube through subscriptions, right? Like where I only get to view 20 minutes of your content, but if I want to view 40, I have to pay to be a part of that club. Again, there are sponsorships on YouTube. But I see more and more people also gravitating towards creating their own platforms, which is effectively like apps or marketplaces where you can engage in that commerce. And also, a lot of influencers or a lot of content creators have successfully used their platform, to build out products that match their niche, which I think is a smart way to do it. But
Can
again,
you
I
give
don't know.
an examples?
For example, there's somebody who talks about beauty, right? A content creator who talks about beauty. She creates a beauty brand, which is lipsticks and makeup and compact foundation, basically making a product out of your niche, and you're able to redirect your audience not just towards likes and shares and comments, but actual purchase. So a lot of people have also navigated towards that, and a lot of people also are building their own marketplaces, building their own apps, their own communities. um, that's what I'm saying. It's an interesting time that we're witnessing, because I feel like over the next 3 to 5 years, we'll be able to see the full impact of where the content space is heading. Because even marketing spends or advertising spends aren't at what they were, say. Look, there was a correction after COVID, right? Because COVID, you were only consuming digital content. Therefore, there was a natural boom that happened. It has corrected, and I think that it will continue to balance out, and it's yet to be seen what comes out of it in the next 3 to 5 years.
And because a lot of our audience would want to connect with brands, etc. When you have those conversations or have had those conversations, what do you think brands are looking for, where they'll say, you know what, this is a content creator, this is a channel, this is a community that I'll spend good money behind, and kind of sort of back it or sponsor it, promote it?
Again, it's very different for different brands versus different influencers or creators. If brands want an ROI, there are certain people in the space who are known to convert real views into sales by virtue of what they wear or by virtue of what they're promoting. If you want brand awareness, there are brands who do that, where, okay, I'm talking about a really important purpose-driven campaign. I just want people to know that this exists. So I really think it depends on what the brand is looking. There are too many permutations and combinations of what exactly. Sometimes they just want amplification, right? Like I build a short film, and I want more and more people to view that film. So I don't really need you to create content. I just need you to amplify my existing content. Yeah, it goes many different ways.
When you are thinking about which brands to collaborate with,
Yeah.
right? That must be a pretty intense process for you, right? Because Humans of Bombay has a certain image, a certain appeal, and
Yeah.
so on and so forth. Do you sometimes, what is that debate that goes into your head, and how do you decide which brands to collaborate with, not? What are the kind of questions you ask yourself?
Is it authentic? Is one of the few. Will I be misleading people who watch this into a wrong choice? Is definitely a question. Um, Also, some questions that are just like, do I resonate with this particular product or this particular service, I guess. Yeah. So I think those would be a few.
Um, when you're building a business, when
Yeah.
you're building something, you're always short of resources. Always are, right? At least I've always been short of resources, whether I'm building a small restaurant or building a billion-dollar airline. You're always looking for more resources. So it must be quite difficult to say no to some brands as well, right? They're saying, here's some money, do this for us. That must be a pretty hard decision, right?
So, Aditya, I'm Gujarati.
We know. The Prime Minister told us that.
Yeah. So one thing we know is to run a pretty tight ship. And the one thing we know is to make it as lean.
Give me as a Bengali some lessons on what are those key takeaways?
Look, we keep it extremely frugal. That's the first thing. The second thing is never assume that you're going to see the check until the check is in the bank. So that's just a rule that I have, that I'm not going to count or bank on that. Therefore, I want my savings or want my balance to be healthy enough that I can see a 18-month outlook for all of my present employees. If I were not to hire anybody or not to leave anybody behind, I need to see an 18-month runway. That's typically how I've done it.
Very interesting.
If that means that I have to make choices in terms of, okay, instead of, for example, we release 2 podcasts a week, if that would mean over the next, if it comes to that, it hasn't, thank God, but if it comes to that, I would say, okay, instead of doing 8 a month, which is what we'll do 6 a month if we don't have the capacity. But I have that 18-month runway in mind all the time, knowing that like I said, we're fully bootstrapped. We don't have any investor money. So that's the outlook I've had. I've also been very mindful of just by expenses that are unnecessary. I'm good at like cutting, okay, I don't think this is a necessary layer that we're spending on, let's not do it.
That's a very interesting thing. And so when you're kind of thinking about which expenses to cut, and where to invest more,
Yeah.
right? Any kind of framework that you use in your head, like when you kind of think about what to spend money on, what not to?
It's so dependent, right? Especially in a very dynamic industry like content creation, where your algorithms are shifting. Some platform is working better than the other platforms. You have to pick and choose basis what's working then. So we are in the present moment, just in terms of content, extremely bullish on YouTube. Therefore, I would rather take out certain amount of money from, say, running one additional Instagram page to putting that money in producing another podcast, for example. So that's how you do it.
And from when you started versus now, a lot of it must be also now kind of data
Yeah.
driven, right? So tell us about that journey from, starting off with a single camera to now the new charisma of today, looking at algorithms and statistics and data. Tell me, how do you, because a lot of people find it also intimidating, right?
Yeah. By the way, the best investment that I made in recent times is I purchased the highest version of ChatGPT and it really thinks for me. So I just downloaded all of my YouTube analytics and YouTube data and I put it into ChatGPT and I said, okay, let's brainstorm what we're going to do next. And
Very, very interesting.
it's insane. Like I'm so bullish on this. Like I was like, I don't need anybody else to do this.
So you're not scared of AI, you're using AI.
I use AI 24/7. Like my friends joke and say, like they call ChatGPT my best friend because I'm on it all the time. Like I'm like, hi, I need to chat about this. Like I've forgotten that it's a computer. So I'm like, how you would say please or like I found myself saying sorry the other day, and I was like, it's automated. Nobody's really feeling bad, but you just get like confused because it has such a sharp brain and it's emoting to you. So it's like, oh yeah, Krishma, that sounds like you're making the right decision. You should definitely do it, but I would do this the other way. And I'm like, you forget that that's a computer, but I mean that's a software, but I use it aggressively. I use it widely. It saves so much of my time. It saves so much of my energy. Plus, it's always on, and I'm always on. So I'm like, I need this. This thing is just the most necessary aspect of life right now.
Fabulous. Um, do you feel a burden of leadership because it is you and people
Yes.
sort of immediately when they think of Humans of Bombay they think of you, and when they think of you they think of Humans of Bombay, and you're responsible for your team members and the future and the 18 months out.
Yes.
Do you feel a sense of a burden of leadership?
Aditya, when you said, "Do you feel a burden of leadership?" You
Do
don't
you?
have you don't have to continue anything. Yes, it is just
Tell
there.
me more.
Yeah, because also another mistake that I made, and I think that anybody who's looking to start a business, especially, please get yourself a co-founder. I'm a
We had the same advice from Meghna Narayan yesterday, actually.
Yeah, just get yourself a co-founder. I've been a solo founder, and this journey is rough. This journey is not easy.
The sisters in sweat are
Like,
nodding their
aggressively
head.
nodding. Yeah.
Vinay should come into the room
Yeah.
any moment. I'm glad that Vinay is there.
You see a very glorified version of entrepreneurship and business online, but like it is so brutal. And the thing is, you have to get up and be like, I need to figure. Nobody else is figuring it out for you. And this funny thing. I've said this. I don't remember how long ago, but sometimes you look for the adult in the room and then you're like, oh, that's me. I need to figure this out. It's happened to me and I'm like, okay, I just got to figure on the fly. um, it's aggressive, it's brutal, and if you by chance have the agency of community and following, everything that you do or don't do also happens to be everybody else's business. So
Let's talk about that a little bit more. So, you go to a restaurant, you are on a beach, you walk through the hotel, somebody will be taking a picture, somebody will have a comment to make, an opinion on your personal choices. How do you?
Yeah, I don't think anybody takes a picture like that, but
It'll happen.
yeah, I mean, it's what you do, right? But I think that everything is up for discussion, and if you choose that, okay, I'm part of this world now, you have to be open for people to really not like you, and that's, I think, the toughest pill to swallow. And when I listen to others who are in this space as well, I have tremendous respect because the internet and everything that it brings, it's so transient. Today, people love you. Tomorrow, they really dislike you.
Then how do you measure your own success?
By not measuring it basis your follower count. It's as simple as that. You have to know that you're delivering something of value or you're delivering something that really matters beyond just the numbers. And um, it's a really funny time and a funny place to be because you know you're going to be offending somebody. The more you grow in volume, the more your chances of offending people are. It's a pretty linear equation. Um, so I just have a lot of respect for creators. I have a lot of respect for people who, face that cancel culture because it's very real and it's very so nice. So I have a lot of respect for people who are able to manage that large following.
When you're having a great day, what gives you the high?
I love work, so I'm always upbeat. I don't look at it.
I mean, other than, of course, ChatGPT saying you're great.
ChatGPT is fun. What gives me high? Um, I love working out. I love reading. I love traveling. I mean, I don't know, like to be very honest, I'm running 14, 15 hours of hours at work. So
And when you're having a bad day, what gets you down?
work. I wish I could say anything differently, but like
Tell me more.
I had a bad day yesterday, and I had a really bad day. And
You don't have to tell us why, but tell us how that day went.
yeah, it went really badly, like my headspace was not right. I found myself being extremely emotional and extremely vulnerable. I know when that happens, and women in the room will agree, first question is it PMS? And I was like, no, this is just a horrible situation to be in.
The men in the room think the same, but they don't dare ask.
Yeah. I got my PMS, but I wasn't. Anyway, yeah, it was just a bad day. I don't know how to explain it. Where like they say it, and you're like, oh, that's somebody else's story. Where you're like, everything that could possibly go wrong is. It was just that kind of a day, and I was like, I don't know